What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Hype Horn, our video game reaction and discussion-based show. I'm Tyler Sparker, and I'm joined by the Adobe Premiere Pro, Brooke Marston.
That's me.
And Brooke, here we are in the Hype Horn. We said when we started it, reaction and discussion-based show. We've done about 60 episodes that are just reaction, no discussion.
We discussed them
we discussed it at the end, but now here's our first fully fledged discussion episode, talking about games and how great they are, frankly, in today's episode, because we are talking about our Game of the Year nominees so far.
So far. We're about halfway through the year. A little over halfway.
Halfway through the year.
Been a funky year for gaming, for everything else.
I know, for the world. Everything seemingly has been delayed. You know, Ghost of Tsushima would already be out by now if any rumor that's been said is to believe. Cyberpunk would have been out by now. But instead, everything's being pushed back. I feel like there's been some heavy hitters this year.
Yeah.
Or like a good volume of games, but like the real heavy hitters, these Game of the Year contenders, there aren't that many right now.
No, definitely not.
Out of the 5 we have picked, let's say we make it 10 at the end of the year. We do this video again next January and over our top 10 games of the year. I wouldn't expect these 5 to all be on it.
Yeah.
You know, let's say the second half of the year is gonna be way more packed, way more full. Like I was like, oh, this has been a good year of games. And then when I was looking through the list of games I've played to make this list, I was like, oh, I played a lot of older games.
Yeah, exactly.
I was like, oh, yeah, I played great games. I was like, oh, Shadow of the Colossus came out in 2018. Yeah, older stuff. So we do have 5 games I think are worth noting for the halfway point of the year, are standout games. One important thing to note is we have not played every major release so far this year. 2 games that I think have gotten a lot of critical acclaim that neither of us have played include Doom Eternal and Ori and the Will of the Wisp. And hopefully, by the time we make our official, for realsies edition Game of the Year 2020, we've played those games so we can rank them against all the others. But just so far, we haven't got the chance to play them. Neither of us own an Xbox or a real gaming PC, really. So we don't even have the means to play Ori right now. So the hope with that is that Xbox Series X will be backwards compatible with Ori on Game Pass or something. We can play it that way to be able to talk about all the big games of the year, all the ones considered for Game of the Year. We want to make sure we've played, and even if they're not on our list, we can critically compare them to our tastes and our preferences. So the first game I'd like to talk about, Final Fantasy VII Remake. Now, I never played the original Final Fantasy VII. It came out when I was, 3 or 4 years old, so I never got around to playing it. But I've been very excited for this game. It was announced forever ago. I might still have been in high school when this game was announced, and now I have my bachelor's degree.
Oh, boy.
Unreal.
Yeah.
Unreal to wait for this game, but it's finally here. And it actually delivered, I feel like, on its potential. This was an amazing action RPG. If I was to rank my games of the year so far, this would be number 2 for me. We'll get to my number 1, of course, later on in the video. But it was just such a fun action RPG. I grew to care about Cloud and Barrett and Tifa and all the whole cast of characters. I really grew to care about them as time went on. It was some solid gameplay. I was really nervous that they were going to take this lauded JRPG and turn it into more of this action RPG, and I was very nervous about that. I was like, this is Square. I was like, Square, they messed things up. This will be a miss from Square Enix, but no, they killed it, knocked it out of the park. It was a lot of fun. My only complaint about Final Fantasy VII Remake, a little too long. Yeah, it was definitely bloated. I don't know how much of the main story it covered had in play.
Exactly, and when you think of it as being a little too long, and then you think how it's not even half of the original in terms of the content that it covers, that's a little interesting. Yeah,
so when playing through Final Fantasy Remake, I feel like there was entire chapters of the game they could have just taken out, and no one would have known. Yeah. It didn't have any consequences to the story. It was just trying to the characters meandering their way through. So that was a negative to me, but overall I came to care about these characters so much and the story they're telling, and I cannot wait for part 2. I feel, will part 2 come out before I turn 30? Probably not. Probably years and years and years away.
It's going to take a very long time.
From Final Fantasy VII part 2. But I can't wait to play it once it's finally out. Maybe a PlayStation 6 launch game, you never know.
Yeah, you
never know. But do you have any other comments about Final Fantasy? So You didn't play it.
No, I didn't. I'm actually about to play the original Final Fantasy VII.
Nice.
So I'll see how that goes. But I think having just like starting it fresh with like no knowledge of what the original is like is probably definitely the best way to go into it. Mm-hmm. Because I feel like when it comes to a remake, no matter how different and how far apart it tries to set itself apart from the original, you're always going to be comparing it. Mm-hmm. So I think it's definitely good to go into it with the mindset of it being like almost a completely different game, because this is like a really different take on it. Mm-hmm. And as like some reviewers have pointed out and stuff, it does steer the story in kind of a different direction than the original. So I'm kind of excited to see how that's going to play out. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was good.
Yeah.
It was cool.
And like one thing I love about the remake is it took the time to flesh out these more side characters like Jessie and Wedge, to make you care about them even. You don't just care about the core cast. You get to know and understand the supporting cast. I really like that.
Definitely.
I think it shows how far video game narratives have grown since the PS1 era. Mm-hmm. So, I don't know, Final Fantasy VII Remake. Tyrus Parker seal of approval.
It's got the seal.
It's up there. So, Brooke, what's the game you'd like to talk about?
So next, I'd like to talk about, this is kind of a hot take. Kind of a, maybe, as you were saying, how this list could be completely different at the end of the year.
Right.
I'm not sure if this will remain, but we did play about a couple weeks, months, I don't know. Time is an illusion. What the Golf.
What the Golf.
What the Golf. A very fun, very fresh, very exciting indie game for the Switch.
Mobile. It's on mobile.
It's on mobile.
Yeah, it actually came out late last year on Apple Arcade, but it made console debut this year.
Oh, yeah.
And I feel like a lot...
With the multiplayer mode.
Yeah, with the multiplayer mode. So I love What the Golf. It's definitely my favorite indie game we've played this year.
Yeah, definitely.
Maybe favorite indie game I've played in a long time. Do you want to talk a little about it?
Yeah, I just think it was a really creative and very innovative approach to the classic wonky physics game that we all know and love. Like the different level designs. I thought the multiplayer battle mode was really cool. And also the campaign mode was like, we were pretty engaged throughout, I would say. It was definitely really interesting. It was challenging, but not to the point where it was like too frustrating. Like I pulled my hair out a couple times, but only a couple times, and I never wanted to quit. I really enjoyed it the whole time. I thought the challenges were really creative. What do you think?
Yeah, I loved What the Golf. The formula always felt fresh with What the Golf. So it's just a golf game, and then they just keep adding little twists that make it further and further from a golf game. So level 1, you just standard hit the ball into the hole, and then level 2, it's the golfer who has to hit the hole. Level 3, it's like the bar you use to gauge your power and direction that has to hit the hole. So it just gets wackier and wackier, and it never grew stale for me.
Yeah, definitely.
I can see how it might for some people, but the way they constantly are twisting the formula was really engaging to me. And maybe sometimes there's a theme of levels that doesn't resonate with me, and I just want to get through that. But overall, I really enjoyed how they took this really simple concept, made it wacky, and then kept innovating on themselves to make it crazier and crazier and still engaging.
Yeah, definitely. I thought all the twists that they did with the different like themes of levels and stuff were really interesting, whether like they messed with like the physics, or they messed with like the gravity itself of the level, or like the objects, like you said. Sometimes they would like really surprise you, I think.
They give reference to other indie games and What the Golf sets levels based on Super Hot, which led to us buying Super Hot and playing that for the first time.
Super Hot Game of the Year 2020.
Yeah. Check out Super Hot if you haven't. It's an amazing game, but not released this year, so not on the list.
Yeah.
But and then also like the references to Super Meat Boy, and just the constant different varieties they have within the game. And then you can beat the game, try to take on the Impossible Challenge, and we still haven't beaten it.
No.
And the Impossible Challenge is hard.
It's very hard. And the other thing I think is cool about it is just overall, kind of like how you mentioned, it's kind of been bouncing off other like indie games and stuff like that. It's really clever. I really like that about it. That was like the design was really intentional. But I think it never really strayed too far from the original concept, which, like, as zany as it got, I feel like that's kind of hard to do. It was always like target, hole.
Yeah.
And no matter how crazy each challenge got, you still had that to kind of go off of, so it never felt too foreign.
Yeah.
So I thought that was really neat. So.
And the campaign mode has like a kind of like a 3-star system, so you beat the level and then you get some wacky challenge to beat the level again, and then an even wackier challenge. And we went through 100% of the campaign mode, and God, some of those were so hard.
Yeah.
It's like you have to complete this insane, crazy hole in 8 shots or less, and like you cannot make a mistake or you have to restart. And I just love how it did sprinkle in the fun, crazy physics with actual challenge.
Yeah,
and so
absolutely.
I really appreciated that.
And it played this really good sound every time you miss, and the sound will be forever etched into my brain.
Forever up in there.
Yeah, so definitely made an impact on me. I think it deserves consideration.
Yeah, so What the Dolph, check it out if you haven't. It's like $14.99 on the Switch. It's a really fun time. It took us about 10 hours to 100% the campaign, and then there's other fun modes attached to that. So, Brooke, this next game might be the most overlooked game of 2020, and I can understand why some people might pass on this, but it's from one of my favorite developers of all time, Media Molecule, with their newest game, Dreams. If you can dream it, you can do it. Dreams. So Dreams, we played that on camera. We had a lot of fun with it, and we've played it sometimes off camera too. But basically, Dreams is from the creators of Little Big Planet, and you have to build. It's a game creator tool. So people can go in and create whatever they want within the game, and then if you don't want nothing to do with that, like we did, you just can go in and play all the different things they came up with, and some stuff in there is so cool. Yeah,
pretty much anything you want to play, you can look for in Dreams and find some variant of it. Yeah, that is playable, and it's pretty cool. It's pretty neat. Some of them are really well designed. Some of them are a little rough.
Right. I would say the problem with Dreams is I still don't think there's an amazing curation tool for like the casual player to go in there and like figure it out. But I think there's some really fun games that we have played in there, like Pip's Gem Walker.
Oh yeah.
Was the name of the one.
Platformer.
That was a game like I would legitimately would have paid like $10 to play that game. It was so fun. But I feel like the release of this game just took forever. So Dreams was unveiled at the PS4 reveal event in 2013. Oof. I don't think it was officially called Dreams at the time, but they were showing off like tech demos and stuff, and now it's here 7 years later.
Yeah.
And it didn't, for this game to be successful, it needed to like sweep up the news storm when it came out, and it just didn't do that.
Definitely not.
But I think it's only $40 when it came out. It might even be cheaper now, but I feel like there's just so many options if you really want to get down in there and try to find the amazing games. There's some awesome stuff in there. And I feel like Dreams deserves a shout out just for the potential that it holds to be this limitless source of content. And really also, I think it's important that it should be inspiring like the next wave of game designers.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I imagine people to like go, I think some people have already gotten hired using their work in Dreams as like a portfolio. Yeah. Just a few months out from release. And of course it's been in beta forever. That's another thing I think like hindered this game, is there's no pop, nothing special to its release. It was just here. So, but I do think it's a lot of fun. There's literally something for everyone in Dreams. And like I said at the start of the video, if in January when we're giving our top 10 games of the year, I do not expect Dreams to be in there.
Yeah.
But I think Dreams is something special. It's something different from really great creators at Media Molecule. So I thought it deserved a shout out in the video.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's more than fair. I think Dreams, just as, even if you don't look at it from the player's perspective, like kind of how we have experienced it, just from like a creator's perspective, I think it's a really good toolbox. And I think making those tools more accessible to all kinds of people, like you said, is going to be really empowering and really inspiring to the next generation of game designers and people who maybe haven't gotten into this stuff before and now are just getting into it because they have the tools to be able to. Dreams.
So, Brooke, we have 2 games left. We know what the 2 games are. They're each of our respective game of the years so far. Yeah. Would you like to go first?
I will go first. So my game of the year so far, this feels kind of sad, TBH, but not sad, but kind of sad. The game I have definitely played the most in 2020, Animal Crossing New Horizons.
Yes.
Very fun game. There's nothing glaringly bad about Animal Crossing. New Horizons was really cool. New installment for Animal Crossing. It's been a really, really long time since that's happened. Man, I went back a little while ago and I played New Leaf and Wild World just to see what it's like. Man, they look horrible. They feel horrible. So this is such an improvement. It's a mile wide gap between those and this. I think it's a really good advancement while still staying true to what everyone loved about Animal Crossing, which is like kind of like the collectible feature, the socializing, and kind of bringing it to the 2020 stage so that it becomes more of like a social thing. Definitely like having people from like other islands and stuff is kind of an unprecedented feature. I know that we have used it a lot.
Yeah.
Both on and off camera. Super fun. And it's not the best system, but as with most Nintendo Switch Online things,
I know.
It's not perfect, but it works.
Yeah, I can't think of a game that came out at a more perfect time ever.
Definitely.
In video game history.
That too. I feel like that definitely helped it a lot.
Then Animal Crossing New Horizon coming out right at the start of the pandemic, of the global pandemic. I love this game a lot. I think it's very special just because it became a source of socialization. In a time where you can't see your friends in real life. It's so easy to get up and go to an island and then start like a Discord chat or something and like hang out with your friends on their islands and see what they're doing on it and their villagers and stuff like that. I love my villagers I've had for a while. You know, shout out to Blue Bear and Drake, some of my favorite villagers. I think the game is flawed though.
Definitely.
In some ways, I think it's an amazing game, but just little things like you can't mate your fishing bait 30 times.
Yeah.
You have to go through manually each time, say you want to make it, do the animation, show that you made the fishing bait, put it away, go back into the screen, select that you want it, do it all over again. I feel like, God, there's even more in this game. I feel like it just takes forever to do things sometimes. And that really drives me insane with this game.
And I feel like there were particular, like, some quality of life improvements. Like, the expansion of the inventory. I don't really know if you could do that before. I know I never really got the chance to when I played, so I felt like it was something that is definitely pretty new.
Yeah.
But there's so many things that happen to me while I'm playing Animal Crossing where I'm like, this could be so much simpler and so much easier.
Right.
But despite all of that, I just love Animal Crossing. I think it's an awesome concept. It's so much fun. It's so relaxing. There's no more consequences for time traveling, so that's really cool. And I really think it's just like a nice, chill game, like they say about living your best life, enjoying yourself, and there's nothing really stressful about it.
Yeah.
And I think that's why I enjoy it so much.
Yeah, and one other thing is that getting to build the island from scratch in Animal Crossing New Horizons, I think, really helps you make the island your own.
Absolutely.
Which I really appreciate. And just like the slow trickle of features over time, I really enjoyed. I mean, I'm still checking in at least 3 or 4 times a week, see how my island's doing, see if I get a new villager that I like better than what I currently have, things like that. So I think it's a really special game.
Absolutely, yeah.
So, Brooke, my game of the year, which should be obvious to the audience at this point because it didn't come up in games we haven't played, hasn't came up yet. Everyone's talking about it right now. The Last of Us Part 2.
Hot take.
Now, Naughty Dog is one of my favorite developers in the whole world. The Last of Us 1 is my favorite game of all time. So to finally have the sequel of Joel and Ellie's story is so satisfying. I don't want to get into story spoilers, of course.
No spoilers.
But to finally be able to see how Joel and Ellie have progressed since the time skip has occurred, see what's changed, what's different, has been amazing. The story blows my mind. I'm still thinking about this story, and I think I'm going to be thinking about it for a long, long time. It isn't afraid to take a risk that's so different from conventional video games and what they do. I feel like video games like to play it safe with the story a lot, and The Last of Us 2 isn't afraid to do things differently, which I appreciate. But for the sake of this video, since we don't want to get into spoilers, we are featured, I should say, in a spoiler cast from our friends at GamerJube that we'll link in the end screens if you want to check that out to know our spoiler-filled thoughts. We talked for like 25 minutes in that video.
Yeah, lots of thoughts.
And then thoughts from other awesome creators as well. So if you're interested in that, feel free to check it out. But the gameplay, Brooke, of this game, oh my God.
Yeah, from what I understand, it's leaps and bounds from the first, kind of, right?
Naughty Dog has finally nailed gameplay. I feel like their graphics are beautiful, their stories are always amazing, whether it's The Last of Us or Uncharted in the past 10 years, but gameplay finally feels right. It always felt a little stiff before. But you always look past it. The games are still amazing because of the other factors. But gameplay finally feels so good. This game made me care about stealth gameplay. Or sometimes even throwing stealth gameplay out the window. There'd be sometimes I'm in this encounter and I don't know how to navigate it, what to do, so I just run. I run out of the encounter area and just get away. And it's so... My heart's pumping in those moments. I'm like, I don't know how to beat this, but you can run away. So I'm so run.
I know that was
and hopefully
the cool
they don't find me.
I thought about this game is that how there's tons of ways to handle every encounter, and there's no one correct way in most cases.
Yeah, that's one thing I was really nervous about going into this game. Naughty Dog, in like the state of the play they did before the game came out, they're like, areas are so much more open now. You have so many opportunities. And I was like, no, this isn't what I want. But they knew what I wanted before I knew what I wanted.
Amazing.
So some instances where I would just go into a situation, guns ablaze, and I want to get to that story point. I felt like it made sense to just go through as quickly as possible, mow down everyone. Other times, most of the time, I try stealthily, sneakily take people out and then get caught and then have to go out guns blazing. Yeah. But other times I get through with only like taking out a couple enemies or something, or going through not even attacking anything or anyone and making it through. Or sometimes getting caught, feeling completely screwed and just running away. Like, so many options in the gameplay I really appreciated.
And I feel like that makes it so much more immersive, how it doesn't feel like everything is planned out for you.
Yeah.
You know, like you kind of take control of what happens to an extent.
Yeah. I do think the game runs a little long is like my only complaint, I think. It took me, I think, 26 hours to beat, 25 hours around there. I just wish it was a couple hours shorter, give it like a more tight, compact experience.
Yeah.
There are some instances where I just kind of wish, you meander from point A to B, and I was like, can we just see a cutscene in here showing them at the point so we just get this story going aside? So I'm not just spending an hour spending supplies to get through an area and then having to search for them to be well equipped for like the big story point.
I know, and that was one thing. I think it's kind of a double-edged sword, how the story is so compelling, how you just want to get from one point to the next, but then you also have to do the gameplay.
Yeah.
And it's not like the gameplay itself isn't a drag, but when it's like juxtaposed against this story that you're really invested in, you really care about, then at that point it becomes like, all right, I want to get through this now so I can see what happens.
Yeah. But the characters in this game were so strong. I feel like characters new and old, I really grew to care about and wanted to see them happy in this bleak world. So it was such a satisfying experience. It's still on my mind all the time. I feel like I finished it, I don't know, 2 weeks ago now. Every game I played since, I'm like, man, this just is not even comparable. Not even up to par with The Last of Us Part 2. So it's my game of the year right now. I would be hard-pressed to think there's a game that could beat The Last of Us 2 in my mind for game of the year. But we'll see. Huh. We'll see. This is a jam-packed year.
It is.
And that's why our next Hype Horn video is going to be us going over games still to come in this year. We have our little document prepped. It's like 15 games that we're very excited about.
We got a stacked last 5 months of the year.
I know. It's going to be insane. 6 months.
Yeah, I didn't count this month.
Well, no, and no big games come out in December. So really like 5. But be sure to stay tuned. I'll be dropping in a couple days our thoughts on all the upcoming games like Spider-Man Miles Morales, Deathloop, Cyberpunk, all that jazz. But thank you so much for watching this episode of the Hype Horn. Make sure you subscribe to see that upcoming video about 2020 games. Leave a comment on what your game of the year is so far. We want to know. I think there's a lot of great games that have come out this year. Not as much as we were expecting, but still a lot. So make sure you comment below. Let us know. And then our video of our spoiler cast we did with GamerJube is up somewhere on the screen. And until we see you again, don't let anybody kill your hype.